let's talk about Abe, whose nickname, by the way, is Abo. Abe actually also wrote me a haiku, which I did not memorize. Here it is, and apparently it's a real thing. I did not have him prove it because he was drinking. But it's a haiku. Abe Kaul can name the presidents we have had in under 1 minute. And apparently alphabetically, but that's not part of the haiku. We're going to get him to do it, probably not on stage, but later. Go to Akova afterwards. And if he was to have a band, it would be a rock band called 12 Seconds to Kenmore. I don't know. He's also a McChicken fan from McDonald's. I, unfortunately, and a little bit shamefully, am a chicken sandwich from Burger King girl, but we don't need to talk about it. I know, you guys can judge me, that's fine. But in the meantime, hey, here comes Abe, lots of applause.
All right, you all remember this theme South Park episode, right, from 2004, the election episode, Giant Douche for his third sandwich. Basically the main plot was that sometimes you just have two bad choices and you don't want to vote. And I guess this is something that a lot of Americans feel. We have first past the post voting, where you don't need the majority to win. You just need the most votes, and people can feel frustrated. It's like a salmon swimming upstream. So it's twice in our history we've had 5 times in our history, including twice in the last 20 years, we've had presidents who won the electoral college without winning the popular vote. Bush. And the guy over there, I really don't want to talk about. So that's been that. So what's the solution? The solution is probably ranked choice voting. What is ranked choice voting? Ranked choice voting is when you have a ballot and you rank all the candidates in order of preference that you want, and then the votes are counted. And if no one has a majority, 50% plus 1, what happens is the one with the lowest amount of votes drops out, and then his votes are reallocated to the second choice of the voters who voted for that candidate. And so this continues until someone has a majority and someone is at 50%. So this way, it's not the person who got the most votes; it's the person who got the majority, which I think is good. One reason I think it's good is it really leads to more positive elections, more positive issue-based elections. Candidates want to be the second choice for the person and for voters, and so what they do is they run positive elections. They focus on the issues, and they don't run negative campaigns. So it's definitely more issue oriented, and I think that's better for everyone, where you are focused on the issues. So yeah, like I said, it's not negative elections. It's not mudslinging. It's not negative ads. It's not talking badly about your opponents. It's not having a few beers at a beer festival and getting in a fight with your buddy. But let's move past that. So yeah, it's definitely not negative, which is great. So I think it's usually better that way. We have better elections, and I think the country's better off for it. The military has a rule that ballots have to be printed 45 days in advance. And so if there's a runoff election, at least a lower voter turnout because ballots have to be printed again and they don't get them in on time. With ranked choice voting, there's only one ballot. And so what that does, it allows people to, it increases turnout, especially from the military. This is where ranked choice voting is in the United States right now. It's used on the municipal level in California, New Mexico, and right here in Colorado in Telluride. They do it for their city elections. New Hampshire's experimenting with it at the presidential level, presidential primaries. They're going to look into that. And in Maine, in 2018, they used it for the first time. In Maine, what happened was the Republican, in the second congressional district, the Republican incumbent had the most votes after round 1, but he didn't have a majority. So they reallocated the votes, and then the Democratic challenger, Jared Golden, I believe, who is now the current representative, won. And so there's an example of ranked choice voting working. I think there was a small lawsuit because of that, but that wasn't successful, and it continues on in Maine, which is good. So so like I said, it's been used here in it's been used in Santa Fe, in New Mexico. It's been used in Telluride in Colorado on the municipal level, and so it's been it's a good system. But I think more and more towns are adopting, and I think it's something that something that's good for us. Another thing why it's good is when it comes to money. Elections in Colorado can cost between $7.5 and $14.5 million, and that is just pretty expensive. And with ranked choice voting, you would have less elections because we wouldn't have a single ballot, and so it could be more cost effective, and I think everybody could appreciate that. It also inspires more people to vote. You can probably vote for the person you want to, and then rank someone who might be more feasible, and so you don't feel like your vote is wasted, and I think you feel better about it. And so, and especially with this is the ballot we had for the president primary here. One of the negative side effects of that is so many names, people might get discouraged to vote, and they might not fill out the ballot all the way, which could affect ranked choice voting. But however, you can see there are people who dropped out, and it might make your vote count more. Ranked choice voting in Colorado, I got a lot of my slides from them. Great organization, check them out, and they'd be very helpful, and they can explain it a lot better than I can. So definitely hit them up. So this is my contact info. Thank you guys for taking the time to listen to me. Thanks.
I had never heard of ranked choice voting until I met Abe. I was like, oh, this is kind of interesting. And then all of a sudden it was showing up on Twitter everywhere. And I'm like, I knew about this before it happened on Twitter. And I think it's fascinating, and I'm a big fan. Because, I mean, as nice and pleasant as all of our, potential candidates have been during this election cycle,